Welcome to the Trades Podcast, a podcast about the business of home improvement and promoting the trades to young adults.
Yes. What's up, everybody? Happy days. This is the Trades Podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Jeff. What a great morning.
Yep. Good morning. It is a good morning. And if you are out there, happy morning to you. All those contractors, all those, early morning risers to get out there at Home Depot. If you're listening to this and get a chance to learn something a little new, because we got a good and great guest. We got Dan from Interplay Learning. Dan, how you doing?
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, we're glad to have you out. We heard your mountain time right now. So you've been already up early rising. I'm out in the West Coast, Jeff out there in the East. But this is the best way to, learn more about Interplay, the construction trades, and bringing everybody together just to get more insight into the industry. So it'd be awesome for you to go ahead and introduce yourself, Interplay, and let us know a little bit more about you.
Sure. I always like to say I started in the trades when I was old enough to hold a wrench. My dad had his own HVAC company and HVAC and plumbing company. So as a kid, I was cleaning fittings, cutting ductwork, the whole thing, crawling around in basements in upstate New York. From there, I was in wholesale for about 10 years, and then I went and worked for the manufacturers. So Daikin, Bosch, Watts Regulator, and in regional and national roles where I was effectively the technical expert, going around giving technical training courses. I'd come into the contractor shops. I was the person that would give you kind of the sales pitch with a little bit of technical knowledge, right? And then in just the last couple of years, I've been working for Interplay Learning. I saw how they were approaching training, and it really, really excited me. Just a real quick story there. I went to AHR, our big trade show in probably 2022, and the show was kind of dead. It was shortly after COVID, but there was one booth that just had a long line of people even at a kind of a dead show, and I'm like, "Well, what's going on here?" And it was Interplay Learning, and I said, "This is the next big thing I want to be part of." So that's the quick story of how I got to Interplay.
Nice. You said that was at which trade show? That was AAHR?
Yeah, AHR, one of the big HVAC trade shows.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, Jeff and I, we're usually out there at we've been out to the Deck Expo and Pool and Spa Patio Expo.
Sure.
The huge, you got to help me out, Jeff. I'm already blanking on that.
Decking and Pool Expo in Vegas. It's coming up in a couple weeks. It's next week, so you probably can hear the show after the expo. I'm looking forward to it. I will be out there shaking hands. We've met a lot of people in the decking industry and a few in the pool industry. Yeah, but sure. I think one of the big ones that's coming up is in Orlando, Florida in February at the International Builder Show over in Vegas or Florida. Mm-hmm. So that'll be several days of having sore feet walking around.
Yeah, that's a great show too.
Yeah, this is always great because that's you get to really see exactly where all the new happenings are, the new technology at these trade shows, and I mean that's exactly what happened to you. That's how you found Interplay.
That's right.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the things I'm very grateful about the Trades Podcast is I love to get out there, meet people, and travel around the country. So after IBS, doing a little drive south, see if we can get to Key Largo.
We want to thank our sponsor. Superior Flooring Cabinet Designs is one of the landmark family-owned businesses in Encinitas. Owner Cheryl Robinson, with years of customer experience managing her family's hardware and cabinet business in North Park. Cheryl Robinson and the Superior team dive deep to learn about your project and help you find the perfect solution for your flooring and cabinetry needs. Call today at 760-436-0900 or visit www.superiorfloors.com.
Beautiful part of the country, especially that time of year.
Yeah. Not as many mosquitoes in February.
That's cool. And so Dan, tell us when you saw the booth at the trade show, what was it that caught everybody's eye? What were they implementing? What were they putting out there?
Yeah. So the way Interplay does training is that we build simulations. So picture like a 3D environment, almost like a video game or a flight simulator. But instead of flying a plane or killing bad guys, we'll model like HVAC equipment, plumbing equipment, electrical equipment, nail guns, whatever it is. We'll build this 3D environment so people can practice in a safe place before they actually go and do it in the real world. And like I said, there was a line of people that are like, well, I got to see what's going on here.
And do you do that with goggles on?
Yeah, so there's two ways, or I guess multiple ways. The way we build simulations is kind of cross-platform. I have my VR goggles right here, right? Like you can put these on and you can experience it. And what's really cool about this is like I can turn around and look behind me. It's like you're at the job site. But we also build it so you can experience the simulations on a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, things like that too.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, if somebody hasn't experienced that before, you getting feedback on like their first impressions? Like,
Oh,
you get
it's
somebody who's
fun.
never gamed before.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, this is actually, since we're on the topic of trade shows, I'll tell a couple of funny stories that happened there, right? We have a simulation on how to change out a garbage disposal, right? To diagnose it and see if it's working right. So we
Yeah.
had this lady, probably, mid 40s, mid 50s, and she's probably never even seen a headset, right? So she puts it on and she's in this, we build like a virtual kitchen, right? So she's standing there in our booth, but she has this headset on and she goes over and she tries to lean on the counter because it feels so real. And she tries to lean on the counter and she
Oh,
tumbled right over. And she was laughing, but like really, that's how real it feels when you have that simulated environment. It's cool.
100%. I had something similar at the International Builder Show. I think it was last year. No, it was the year before. It was a crane lifting up a big, like 20 by 20 platform onto a high rise. And all you're doing is standing in the middle of that platform as the crane lifts you up. My legs hurt by the time I was done with that from trying to balance myself this whole time as the platform's going up in the air. You're like, feel the little shifts and you tighten up your legs, move this way, and 100% real.
wow. And that was all through the headset, Jeff, right?
Yeah, just a headset on. You look different ways. You can see the building where it's supposed to, you're building up the next section to it. You look out over the thing and then you're going higher up and you have the feeling of height and being scared.
Yeah.
It was killer. And that was, I think, a good 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, and you have 40 plus, and Jeff, I won't shout out your age out there, but
That's
you got
fine. I'm old.
you got 40 plus people. I mean, they're interested into, one, they see this headset, maybe never even put one on, and then they put it on, and then they're, it just immerses them into this reality of, one, this is not a video game. It may look like a video game, but it is a full-on tool that can get you licensed. It can get you your hours. It can get you, through an apprenticeship program, if I believe. So companies can implement this into their program, right?
Totally, totally. And I mean, there's a lot of fun ways to look at it. First of all, just on the recruitment side. So just like people were lined up at the booth at the trade show, what we're seeing is some local contractors, they'll take a headset to like a local job fair, right? Because, you have your little booth at a local job fair and yeah, you're talking about the trades, but oh man, you got a headset. What's going on over there? I mean, I have a 13-year-old son. He plays more games on, like, this is how the kids are growing up. They see this, they're like, oh, cool. What are you doing? Like, I've used that before, right? So people use it on the front end to attract new talent to the trades. And then once they're employees, we've seen people build apprenticeship programs, upskilling programs, sometimes even taking people that just have a really good attitude and training them in-house, right? Because I'm sure you know the skilled trade shortage. We can't even get enough people through the trade schools. So we're seeing a lot of contractors almost become a school themselves. And that's really what we're doing is we're empowering the contractors to almost have some sort of educational program in-house like
Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing that more and more. I mean, Danny is too. We've seen it across this country that more and more contractors are teaming up to create their own training programs in-house because they can't get them out of the training, that the unions have trade shops, plumbing, great plumbing shop over here in San Diego, great apprenticeship programs, but they just can't produce them fast enough. I got a question for you, Dan. Also, one of the things I think we've noticed too in the last few years that me and Danny have been doing the podcast is that training programs traditionally were like a 4-year journeyman program across the board. There's very documented steps on the process. But what you're seeing with technology, and especially with what you're doing at Interplay, you can take a kid that has, or somebody that has no experience and do it in half the time and be just as good.
Yeah. And so what was really unique to what we did at Interplay, probably different from the trade schools that had the textbooks that are 1,000 pages long on how to do a trade or something, right? Is we went to the employers, the contractors, and said, what skills are the most important skills for your staff to have, like your technicians or installers, right? So what we found is the technical term of that is called the job task analysis. In a given 40-hour week, how much time are you spending doing different tasks, and like which ones are most important? So once we identify those, what we do is we build simulations around the most critical skill sets. So if it's learning how to use a multimeter, swing a hammer, use a nail gun, maybe some of those foundational tools, maybe it's around safety, like learning the right steps to make sure you're doing the right safety on a job site, or maybe it's specific pieces of equipment, different things like that. So what happens is once we build this simulated environment, now I can run someone through 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 virtual service calls or virtual installation steps before they actually even do it on the job site. So what we're doing is we're building all those practice repetitions way faster. Whereas typically you just have to wait until that job comes up. Oh, we're doing a deck next week. I'll show you how to build a deck next week. But with the simulation, I could show you how to build a deck 10 times in a day, right? So that's how we really speed up that process.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. And you really did catch me by surprise because I thought the hardest thing that you would have, especially in plumbing and HVAC, is identifying why it's not working on a service call.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure you've heard that too. So is having the repetition, how do you conquer that part of the skill, Dan?
Yeah. So what's interesting that once I came to Interplay, my background was all in the technical trades, right? I grew up in HVAC and plumbing.
Yeah.
And we're all taught on the job training, right? That's how we're taught.
Yeah.
And on the job training, if you really break it down, it's the how. I'm learning the step-by-step process of how to do something. But a lot of times I was never taught the why. Like, why is the ductwork size this size? Why is the water heater not doing what it's supposed to do? So in our simulations, we have some voiceovers of our subject matter experts before people go through it, to start teaching some of that why. And I think this is where we really get to critical thinking. A lot of people in our industry, even my own father, who was doing it 20, 30, 40 years, they've always been doing it that way because that's the way they were taught, but they really don't know the why behind it. So if you layer in that foundational and contextual knowledge alongside the simulations, now you're building this critical thinking. What I like to say, instead of just being a parts changer, you're becoming a real technician because you're trying to figure out why it's operating that way.
And in the simulation, I
You
imagine,
got me with that one. I love it.
I mean, in this, you can plan it for things to go wrong, and you can kind of test, I imagine, your trainees to kind of identify something that's implemented purposely wrong for them to hopefully locate and fix.
Yeah, the way we build simulations kind of in 3 stages, right? The first time you go through a simulation, we're going to highlight orange. Like, here's the contactor on the air conditioning unit. Here's where you put your leads. Like, the first time someone goes through something, we really want to just kind of build that muscle memory. But then the harder level, if you will, if you're thinking of gaming, is okay, now we're taking away those orange highlights. You have to know which type of tool to pull out. You have to know where to look and where to measure, right? And then the third hardest level is we actually randomize the faults now. So you have to show up just like it's a job site and go through the simulation. And what we've seen is this is how we build that confidence in those techs, that now we didn't just throw them out there to try to fix it right off the bat. We built that knowledge to get up to that point.
I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, just how versatile that can be used, and kind of spread out from the beginning stage all the way to the middle to the end. And I mean, you've already talked about a few of the training programs. You want to dive into probably some of the main ones that you guys are really focusing on right now, especially for the construction trade?
Yeah, so we got started in HVAC. Then we started kind of getting into plumbing and electrical and some construction, right? We have a course on roofing and decks and flooring and windows and doors. Like, so a lot of we started kind of in the residential space, right? Because a lot of that knowledge is, there's kind of cross things, like a lot of the different trades use a multimeter, right? So we like kind of kept getting closer and closer to all of these adjacent markets of people that are either building a home, maintaining a home, or servicing a home, right? What happened after that, and where we're kind of evolving to now, is when you build those cross skills, now I'm more apt to almost become like a facilities maintenance tech, because you have to have skills in all these different trades. So we're getting more into commercial, where sometimes those trades are blended a little bit. So now we have content on chillers and rooftops and larger systems. So it's kind of a mix of residential and commercial. But really, the way I look at it, you can look outside, and if it's a building of some sort, we probably have some sort of training around whether the installation, the maintenance, or the troubleshooting.
Well, one of the things you were mentioning earlier, Dan, is about the safety aspect of it. Is there industries out there that are, needing tradesmen, but have a safety factor that you're help solving?
Yeah, totally. So when you think about what's happening with the skilled trade shortage, right, is most of these employers are putting out job applications. We're looking for someone with 5 years experience, 3 to 5 years experience. And what's happening? They're getting like 1 or 2 applications. People just aren't applying, right? Because they're already happy where they are, or whatnot. So we're seeing employers to start to drop that, like maybe 1 year experience. are maybe no experience and will train you in-house. And what happens is as you drop those years of experience, what you're really missing out is on the safety. Like, yes, the technical skills, but they might not realize you shouldn't touch a live outlet or whatever it is, right? So um, what we're seeing is the practice environments as simulations are super cool. Like if you go into our simulation and you're working on a rooftop unit, for example, and you go in there and you try to change out a contactor without doing lockout tagout on the panel, it's going to pop up on the screen and say you just got electrocuted. Right. So what happens is it's building that muscle memory of like, oh, I'm practicing in a safe area. So when I go out and do it in the real life, like I'm not going to make those safety mistakes.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, I mean, safety is a big thing, and then I mean that also kind of results into like dollar signs, I imagine too. Less mistakes, less materials, less. Hey, we got to pull the wall out instead of just that small piece of plumbing, and because we've made a huge mistake.
Yeah. I think the other thing we were curious too, Dan, is certifications. Do you have certifications that come with it? And is some of that like OSHA 10 or 40?
Yeah, yeah. So we have OSHA 10 and OSHA 30. Um, most of that content is still kind of video content because you have to get a lot of that contextual and foundational knowledge.
Yeah.
We do have some simulated environments for safety. A lot of our simulations have safety. So we have OSHA 10, OSHA 30, Spanish, English. I think we have general construction or general and construction. There's a couple different levels of it. We do our EPA 608, which is the refrigerant certification. We have
Okay.
certified pool operator certification built in. NATE certification, that's pretty important to the HVAC residential world. HVAC excellence, some certifications with them. And then on the apprentice side, it's a state by state thing, right? So we're probably 60% approved across the different states. We're still working with some of them, which I'm sure some of the states are a little harder to work with than others. But our content is also approved for apprenticeship hours too, in probably 60% of the states.
Okay, very good. Nice. Yeah, and then one thing that I was looking through the website through Interplay Learning is what are the NATE training. I hope I'm saying that right. It's the way, it seems like that's the way it's spelled, but NATE training. What is that NATE training?
So NATE is what I would call is that like a third party certification organization. So what they do is if you go through a certain amount of content and you take this quiz, a proctored quiz where someone's watching you, right? You'll become a NATE certified technician. And a lot of HVAC manufacturers really like that title because now they know that the technician actually knows what they're doing when they're installing it and servicing it instead of just being a parts changer. So it's a pretty powerful certification in the HVAC space.
And that's all.
What's the NATE stand for? National Association of Training?
I don't know what it means off the top of my head, but yeah, it's well recognized.
Very good.
Nice. And that's perfect. I mean that's all. Those are like you said, third party collaborations that Interplay are kind of commingling and being able to, just spread out their licenses, spread out the certifications that can be used on as on a resume for up and coming HVAC technicians, or even just companies to give themselves a level up as a company that says, hey, all our technicians are NATE training certified and they have their certificates, and allows them to maybe work on some other projects that otherwise other companies can't.
Yeah, totally. And something recently too, our CEO has been out to Washington, D.C. 3 or 4 times now in the last couple months. I think we're going to see a lot more funding for the trade schools, right? So there might be new certifications that come out that have federal funding behind it, like because we realize at a national level that there's going to be some challenges with our infrastructure if we don't get more people flowing through the trades here. Like, bridges need to be built, buildings need to be built. Like our infrastructure, a lot of people are retiring. So we have to even put more funding and resources to build the trades.
Yeah. I mean, just beyond even just the housing issues that a lot of states are going through, us being out, I'm out here in California. Housing has always been an issue, but even just maintenance is a huge thing too. When you have so many houses or even just apartment buildings that are going up, more and more materials, I have to say, sometimes are not the most, they don't build them like they used to, but they're breaking a lot quicker, sooner, and need a little bit more maintenance. So just having people with knowledge on that piece too is definitely another piece of the shortage. And but I'm glad you mentioned that, because for CEOs to be out there in Washington D.C. to be advocating and talking about what the issue truly is within this workspace, there definitely needs to be changes for sure.
Absolutely. I think one of the great things that you guys might be able to do, besides the NATE training, is collaborate with some of the local plumbing, heating, and air conditioning associations across the country. That'll allow them to utilize your platform to work faster, get people in there and certified, so people's careers can progress faster, and you'll get more qualified technicians out there working faster too.
Yeah. And something I kind of want to clarify too is we don't really position ourselves as like the end all training solution. I think the in-person piece is really important. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll build programs with contractors where we do a lot of the online stuff to build the knowledge, and we put them through the simulation. And then that on the job training is now almost more, not so much training, it's skill verification. Like you might have been able to use the nail gun in a simulation, but let's see how you do it in real life. And I think that combination of simulation and real world experience, that's how we build it. We can get that skill level up a whole lot faster. And the contractors love it too, because how many times do you have to teach someone the basics about, like, the senior tech's time shouldn't be wasted on teaching the basics. A lot of that can be handled online, right? Let's have your senior tech just handle that skill verification and give them some of the tips and tricks. Like, our simulations are in a nice, clean environment, but guess what? In the real world, you're in 3 feet of mud trying to build a deck, right? Like, so there's things that we can't simulate every single experience, right? But
Not yet.
not yet, right?
Yeah, I mean, just like the way you using a nail gun with the air hose, and how do you run the air hose, so you're not tripping on it, so that the customers, have a safe place to walk. There's a lot of details that go into it. Really good point, Dan.
Yeah. I was just in my
100%
mind when
agree.
you were saying that. Imagine a full-on VR suit where you might feel some pressure points, or some resistance on when you pick up an item during your VR, and like the weight of a nail gun, like you just said, like where you're feeling that piece, where all 6 senses. But I think just even from where the VR training is at right now, just the safety aspect, that just goes way beyond of even just being able to feel how heavy a nail gun is, which is part of the safety, but how to use it, and making sure when, hey, in real life you're going to get electrocuted if you touch a live wire.
Totally. It's interesting. Some of the video games now, I mean, I was in Best Buy, probably saw this 6 months ago now. You can actually buy this suit. So like when you're playing a video game, like it's a haptics suit, like it'll shake if you get shot by a bad guy, right? So we're
Yeah.
even looking at ways as like, oh, could we put on this suit so if you get electrocuted, your body's going to feel it a little bit, just to kind of drive that point home a little bit more. I think you're right. As technology progresses, it's going to be more than this. You'll have a whole body suit probably, right?
Yeah. With a tool belt, around the waist or whatnot, we'll have it,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting because I mean, Jeff and I, we've always dived into AI, robotics, and just kind of like being at the trade shows. You get to see all the new technology, some that are coming from overseas, some that are being developed here in the States. Obviously you guys are a technology based company. Where do you guys see that piece of AI and robotics kind of coming into your industry?
Yeah, I love talking about AI too, because I mean, right in our name of our company, right? Interplay Learning. We're a learning
Mhm.
company. And I think a lot of people are using AI almost as like a crutch, or like they're becoming dependent on it a little bit. Where the way we're looking at AI is almost, how do we help the learning process better? We don't want to just give answers to people like, how most people are using Chat GPT or anything. You ask a question, you get an answer. Like, that's not really building knowledge. So when we look at AI, um, well, first of all, it's helping us build content faster. But to the learner, we have somewhat of like you could call a chat bot or whatever inside our course. So let's say a technician is going through and they have a question about the nail gun. They're gonna put that question in the chat box, and instead of us just answering the question, we're gonna respond with a question. This is called the Socratic method. It's been used for thousands of years. Is what we're finding is a lot of these technicians, they actually might already know the answer. They're just not sure of it. So instead of just giving it to them, let's ask a question back and kind of guide them to the answer. And what it does is it builds their confidence. And this is how I really, if I could wave my magic wand around AI, I wish people would stop depending on it for the answer and just using it to help them think more critically.
Hmm.
Really good point.
That's a
Yeah.
great point.
And
And
do you think some of your training programs will integrate robotics? And one of the examples I've seen in the last couple trade shows is there's like a body harness set that you use for lifting heavy tools. So it's got the big arm
Mm,
going overhead, little spongy cable that holds the weight of the tool. You're just guiding it now. Is that something you
Yeah.
think you're integrating in?
Well, I think the interesting take we're on it all. We're getting into some industrial content lately too. Is
Hmm.
all of those robotics, they have bearings, they need lubrication. Like, that's even more stuff that people in the trades are going to have to need to fix, right? So the angle we're taking is, as robotics really get stronger, that's just an even more need for the trades. So we're building a lot of content on how we would maintain like that piece of equipment.
Okay.
yeah, I mean through like this the virtual reality, it definitely seems like diving into a lot of those areas, because one, you don't have to physically have the full machine there. Maybe you just need the blueprint, some sort of guide from knowing exactly what to the main components on what to fix, and possibly even just tell the VR, your learning program, look, this is what I want to work on today, take me directly to that, and it'll just shoot you right in there, then you're working on the items. That's what I see, like this versatility, and like you said, it's not an end all for all. It doesn't cover everything, but man, I mean, it's just the opportunity beyond just the digital side of the VR is huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, something I want to just add there real quick too is we're getting more requests for data centers too. Like, they're going up like crazy. So
Mm.
when you think of a data center or these robotics or anything, these are all critical environments. Like, we can't shut down the manufacturing line for an hour. So when you go and work on these things, or shut down the data plant for an hour to just like practice and do on the job training, no. Like, we want to make sure people have this skill set when they go and work on that robot or that data center. So that's why simulations are great. I can get in all that practice, especially in those critical environments. So
Interesting. I was just thinking also about when you, like, as a roofer, you have to have fall protection. You're up on the roof. So if you fall, simulate that falling off the
yeah,
roof and how the safety harnesses will feel and actually save you, keep you from getting hurt, dying, whatever. That would be pretty scary, I guess.
That'd be scary as hell. That's
But better to be scared in a virtual environment than practice out in real life.
Let's feel like that is, we call it like a kickback when you're on a chair, like you're falling off a chair. That's like that free falling feeling. That's like my fear.
Yeah.
I do not like that. Maybe that's why I'm not a roofer either.
Yeah, I mean, it's that time of year when I just saw it yesterday. My neighbors are, who aren't contractors, are hanging their Christmas lights. I'm like, gonna get hurt.
Yeah. Right.
We'll get there.
That, I mean, is it as simple as that? Even like ladder safety. I know that's one of the biggest, injuries on the workspace is ladder safety.
Totally. Yeah, we have courses on that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Perfect. That's awesome. And so, I mean, so say someone is working at a company, they have Interplay implemented into their program, it's training, or, say, hey, this is an option that you can go through and get some hours, they move forward with it. Now, when they are done with the training that they signed up for, what jobs are they able to work on when it comes down to HVAC or electrical? What can you expect on that part?
Yeah, so I mean, we have, gosh, I don't even know, probably 500 or 600 courses now, somewhere in that range. So typically, what we'll do is we'll work with a contractor to kind of have a pathway. We're not just going to open up the whole entire catalog because, if I'm a roofer and then all my guys take HVAC courses and leave me, that's not going to be great for my business, right? So we'll give a pathway. But what we do see is maybe that roofer wants to get a little bit more into like an adjacent market, and now they can start growing the skill sets of their employee a little bit, right? So I love to say it is pathways. How do I put together a group of like 5 to 10 courses? By the end of it, you're able to do something. Maybe you're an install person and now you want to be maintenance, or there's just a bunch of different really unique pathways we can take.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, over 500 courses, that's huge. I mean, you can be in school almost through your whole career in that piece of just learning bits and pieces of what it is that you guys are offering. And then so this is pretty much what you're saying is like they can absolutely have a full-on career after going through your VR training. Like they can absolutely be able to do their jobs. One, they get the simulation, but then usually they're always on the job doing the same thing and working on it. So they're creating a career alongside of working and taking on the VR simulations.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really exciting about it is, most of everything's in bite-sized chunks, right? Like a course might have 30 simulations, but each simulation only takes 4 or 5 minutes. So like you do training maybe in between 2 jobs or something was canceled in the afternoon. Like it's not like you need to sit in a classroom for a week straight. We're kind of just dropping in that training as people need it. Or maybe you've never done a deck next week and it's your first deck. Can I get some practice in? So we're seeing people put training isn't just going to trade school and on the job anymore. Like it's actually becoming almost part of your operations. That's what we see, especially people that have like work order software, is they'll block out time, like maybe 30 minutes on Tuesday and 30 minutes on Thursday, because they know if people continue to develop their skill sets, that makes them more confident. They're going to do better work on the job. So it's not just this one-off shotgun approach that we'll just do it when we have time. It's like actually just as important as the jobs that we're doing.
Mhm.
Fantastic. How long does it take a typical student to run through a couple different courses for certification?
Yeah, I mean, some of our certifications could be 30 or 40 hours long, right? The courses themselves, some of them are an hour or less, right? And really, what I was just saying there is a lot of times we're seeing people go in for 5 or 10 minutes here, 5 or 10 minutes there. We actually had a story. Here's another one I got at a trade show. Like this probably 21-year-old kid, right? I can say kid because I'm in my 40s too, but 21-year-old young adult. What he did is he loved to video game at night. So in between each of his matches of Call of Duty, there's like this 10-minute time frame or something. He said, in between each match, I turned to my laptop or my iPad and I just learned something quick. And I learned something quick on the Interplay platform. And he's like, I learned so much in the time of a year that I actually got a promotion to a supervisor. And that's the stuff that gets me chills. Like, I think some of these young adults, they want the information. They just don't even know that there's ways that they can learn now.
Yeah. And how quick that is, how easy that would be. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. That's funny. I mean, here I am. I was doing push-ups in between those breaks of Call of Duty and stuff.
That's important too.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great story. I mean, that's just for, any of those, that goes for parents too, to really hear that, where, just knowing, sure, your kids may be, they love video games, they love to sit at home, but there's also other ways, of guiding them to the knowledge that they can absolutely use for the rest of their life. Not like I love that you mentioned it earlier, just like the Socratic method, instead of just giving them the answer, giving them the solution to to have a career. It's, hey, like, let's find different routes of and ways that you can learn this the way that you like it, because it interests you and you have a drive towards technology, and this is exactly what this is, but also can be used in the real world. So that I love the how it all correlates and kind of comes back together on that piece too. But Dan, one main thing, after knowing that you're going to be on the podcast and stuff, there's a few things that I saw from your background that you may have not, you know, not maybe not a lot of people know about what was going on in your life and stuff, but you've made it now a mission for you to kind of like spread this knowledge and really helping people out. Um, if you feel free to, to let us know what it is that you were going on in your life, because I think it's important for a lot of people out there to understand that, there's always obstacles in life, and just depends how you move forward with that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Maybe so I had an interesting health thing that happened about a year and a half ago. I had a heart attack, and then within a couple hours after they, revived me and put in my stent, then I had a brain bleed. So a brain aneurysm, a couple different names for it, and that kept me in the hospital for weeks. And when you get that close, like, you think about this a little bit, right? Is most of us are going along in life, and we really don't know when our card is going to be pulled, right? So one thing that helped me while I was sitting in that hospital bed is like, I still have impact to give to this world. I still have something that I want, like, I want to provide value, and I want to just share the message more. And my whole message that I want to share is, we're in a world where there's just a lot of change, especially with AI and everything else, and people's confidence is starting to dip. Like, self-confidence, I think I read a statistic the other day, 85% of adults have low self-confidence. And when I think about how do we turn that around, It's all about just having these little bits and these little moments where we learn something and we try it and we get good at it. And that feels good. And now I want to do it again. I want to do it again. And I want to do it again. And I think that's the core of like, it was almost that clarity moment when I was about to go meet the maker, right? Like I came out of that and I said, my goal is just to help people realize it doesn't take much to build that confidence back. Maybe it's just 5 minutes on how to use the nail gun or whatever it is, right? And if you start stacking these wins, that lets you go out and be more confident and be better with not only at work, but with your family and everybody else. You can hear I get excited about this because I think this is really the crux of learning, not just interplay, just of learning. Like if you start building this habit of just growing a little bit and growing a little bit every week, that's where we build that proudness and that confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. No, thanks for sharing. I mean, I know it's a vulnerable piece to your life, but just reading what you had written about it was really impactful for me. Just to like, one, you just don't know what other people are going through, but when you do hear their story and what you're bouncing back and doing through interplay, and like you just said, like learning to a piece for a lot of the younger generation, and like you said, those 21-year-old kids, I'll call them kids too. I'm only 32. Uh, those kids out there, that piece of confidence is just that one little battle that they get over, and I think that's going to help them ultimately and tremendously, down the road. And that continuation of just battling through what they may not have the confidence in is going to ultimately help. So,
yeah, and we've heard the stories of learners firsthand. Like, gosh, I'll get tears in my eyes of people that immigrated to the country or dropped out of high school or didn't think they had a path or a career or anything. And now there's this platform where they can learn at night to actually grow their skills. Like people
Yeah.
that were making minimum wage, like now they're making 20, 30, $40 an hour because they have the skill sets now, right? This is that big impact of what we really do is and if to the business owners listening, like think about pulling some people out of your community that maybe don't even know that they have a chance. They're out there. Like we say, there's a skilled labor shortage. There's plenty of people in our communities right now that just need someone to see them, someone to give them a chance. That's
yeah,
what excites me.
Yeah. It's well said, Dan. Yeah. You never know how many people you've changed their lives and given them the power to create generational changes for their family also, simply because
Yeah,
they weren't able to skill up to a livable wage.
yeah, absolutely. Playing Call of Duty and playing Interplay in between breaks, and then now he's a supervisor. So
yeah,
that's huge. That's huge. Just to hear that small little win. I'm sure there's so many more out there, and even bigger ones out there also that just haven't been told. So I think that's great. I mean, that's just one beautiful on every front of what Interplay is doing for the construction trades. Like you said, the community of all things, bringing people together and learning skills and being able to build up their community. But then also the shortage that we have for sure that we know is going to be a problem if we don't solve it. And Interplay, being able to be there to let people learn, I think is a huge thing that will absolutely one help close that gap a little bit more. So
very, very
Yeah.
grateful. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Well, this is perfect. Jeff, you got anything else to mention out there?
Well, I'm really looking forward to trying some of these VR goggles and learn more about how that works and stuff. Dan, where are you guys located? Office, Texas. You guys are in Texas, Dan?
Sorry, cut out there for a second.
No worries. Glad you're back. I would really like to try one of these things out, Dan. Where are you guys located? Over in Texas, I believe?
Yeah, I mean, we have a corporate headquarters in Austin, but we have 200 some employees and they're all over the country, even some in Europe. But I get the
Okay.
texts often. Maybe I'll have to come swing by your shop.
That would be good. That would be great. So if somebody's interested in learning more about how to integrate Interplay into their business, what would be the next steps for them?
Yeah, I'd say 2 steps. Like, check out interplaylearning.com. We have a lot of information on there. There's probably some sort of form you can fill out, or just find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, Dan Clapper, uh, Interplay Learning, and send me a message, and I'll get the ball rolling.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you again, Dan. Yeah, this is perfect. I mean, we can always come back and talk more about a lot of this technology and what you guys are building up and what the future looks like. But if anything, we might see you maybe even at the next trade show or something. So um, it's awesome. Glad to have you on, Dan, my twin, and Jeff. You're the best. You already know. This is the Trades Podcast. Again, you guys got to share this out to everybody. If you're a technician in a company and you hear this, tell your boss, tell your supervisor. If you're a business owner, reach out. Like Dan said, check it out on the website, and just know that this is something that's growing and absolutely viable for people to learn more and quicker. So thanks again, Dan.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great having you on, Dan.
Yeah, thanks.